You're not interested in what you're watching. You don't even like it. And if someone asked you why you're still scrolling, you wouldn't have an answer. Yet your thumb keeps moving. That's not curiosity. That's something else. Because when people care, they stop. They pause. They pay attention. You don't. You scroll past things you don't want, don't need, and won't remember. And somehow, you keep going. That contradiction is the clue. Think about the moment it happens. You open an app. You look at the first post. Nothing connects. So you scroll. The next one doesn't matter either. So you scroll again. Not because you expect something good, but because stopping feels uncomfortable. That's the part no one talks about. Scrolling isn't driven by interest. It's driven by avoidance. Your brain has learned a quiet rule. Doing nothing feels worse than doing something small. Scrolling counts as something small. It doesn't require a decision. It doesn't require effort. It doesn't even require attention, just movement. So when your brain senses boredom, restlessness, or even a second of silence, it chooses motion over stillness. Down, down, down. Here's what makes this dangerous. When you scroll without caring, your brain isn't searching for content. It's searching for relief. Relief from the pause. Relief from being alone with your thoughts. Relief from the feeling that nothing is happening. Scrolling interrupts that feeling, not with satisfaction, with noise. Pay attention to how this feels. Your face stays neutral. Your breathing barely changes. Your eyes move, but nothing lands. There's no excitement, no disappointment, just continuation. That's because scrolling has become a background behavior. Like tapping your foot, like pacing a room. It fills space without demanding anything from you. And because it feels harmless, it repeats. Your brain starts to associate stillness with discomfort, pauses with something to escape, boredom with movement. So instead of asking, "Do I want to keep watching?" your brain asks a different question. Why stop? And since there's no clear reason to stop, you don't. This is why you can scroll for 10 minutes and remember nothing. If content were the reason, something would stand out. But nothing does. Because the purpose was never to find something meaningful. The purpose was to avoid the gap between moments. That gap is the real trigger. That brief second where there's no input, no distraction, no stimulation. Your brain treats that moment like a problem that needs solving. Scrolling is the fastest solution it knows. Always available, always endless, always unfinished. Over time, this creates a shift you barely notice. Your tolerance for boredom shrinks. Your patience shortens. Your ability to sit with unfinished thoughts weakens. Not suddenly, gradually. Every scroll teaches your brain the same lesson. Stillness is something to escape. That's why you scroll even when you're tired. Even when your eyes hurt. Even when nothing feels interesting. Stopping would mean facing the silence you've been training yourself to avoid. So you keep moving. There's something else that makes this loop hard to break. Scrolling has no natural ending. There's no signal that says you're done. No sense of completion. No closure. So your brain never feels finished. Just suspended. And suspension feels safer than stopping. The next time you catch yourself doing this, notice what's actually happening. You're not chasing content. You're avoiding the moment right before you reached for your phone. The pause, the quiet, the space, that's what your brain reacted to. Once you see that, scrolling starts to feel different. You'll scroll, then pause, then realize there was no reason to continue, just momentum. And that realization won't feel dramatic. It will feel strange. Because you'll see how often your actions keep going without intention. Scrolling when you don't care isn't a flaw. It's a pattern built from thousands of small moments where movement felt easier than stopping. And once you recognize that, you won't be able to ignore how often you move. Not because you want to, but because stopping feels unfamiliar. That's when scrolling stops feeling normal and starts feeling exposed.